So nice to be back. Hello and thanks for joining the first edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. There are just 88 days to the conduct of the 2019 general election in Nigeria. As the polls draw nearer, we will always be here to give you in-depth analysis of events shaping the polity. Today on the program, as campaign begins, Buhari Atiku unveil plans to earn people's votes. Kashamo replaces Shitu as Ogun PDP governorship candidate. As Tambuwa gets PDP ticket in Sokoto, SGF says APC's victory in Kwara State sweetest so far. As PDP disagrees, and later on the show, APC mum as Okorocha claim Hope Uzodinma emerged with fake court judgment. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Chris Kende Wandu, and Shola Ojeosi. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Okay, before we set the ball rolling, Babajide Kolade Otitoju would like to personally extend a kind of apology to the family of late Abubakar Rimi. Babajide?
Yeah, in our November 8th edition, I was referring to a story that I did when I went to Kano in 2006 after the murder of Rimi's wife, Sadatu. And I remember at that time that I did the story based on preliminary report of the police and based on interviews that I had with the DSS operatives in Kano at the time. I spent only about 6 days in Kano and I returned. Rimi's son, Abubakar Jr., was detained for 104 days. But after the detention, he was cleared of any involvement in the murder. But you know, at the time that I filed the story, the matter had not been resolved. So I was doing a tie back to the past. I now was talking about that story. But I didn't get the angle of eventual release or the person who was accused wrongly of being involved in the murder. I didn't know that in the fullness of time, investigation showed that Rimi's son was not the killer or the stepmother, but that it was someone else. So, but when I was recalling the past, I talked about the son, that one of his sons was accused, this and that, but in the end, that was not what happened. And it was not done out of malice. I spoke based on the information that I had. And as I always say to even some of my friends on Facebook, none of us here is perfect.
At all.
If we are liable to make mistakes, and we are humble enough to admit it when we make such a mistake. So I made that mistake, and I asked for apology from the Rimi family. I'm happy that today that family is united. Abubakar has united the family as the leader of the family now, as the eldest son, and this is not the time when they will be happy to hear someone talk about a matter that they have forgotten. So I apologize to the family, to Ajia, the matriarch of the family, and to Abubakar and his younger brothers that he has united under one roof. I have the biggest respect for Rimi because Rimi brought dynamism and real vibrancy to politics in Kano. The people that even put together his team remains, and when we talk of radicalism, remains the best in the history of the North. We had people like Soli Abu. He had great people, the best, the radicals. People like Dr. Muhammad, who was eventually murdered. So he had a good team. Everywhere he had excellent people, and his record speaks volume up to today in Kano. So I have no reason, even when I was talking about the people, when we were talking about state police, I talked about how Rimi suffered because he preferred to stay with Nepu, you know. So Rimi is not someone that I have no regard for or that I would want to ridicule in death. So
setting the ball straight there, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Now, moving on now, the political fireworks in Nigeria can now begin as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, lifted its ban on campaign for the 2019 presidential and National Assembly election. And swiftly, the presidential candidates of the two main political parties opened bids to canvass for people's votes. On Sunday, President Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressives Congress kick-started his campaign with the launch of a policy document tagged Next Level 2019 in Abuja. His main challenger, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, also released his own document. It was tagged, Let's Get Nigeria Walking Again. Where would the pendulum swing? I can also tell you that Obi Ezekwesili also had our own declaration in Anambra State yesterday. Yes, and we have over the other candidates quite formidable. And I can tell you that Fela Durotoye actually had his own declaration in Ajegunle yesterday. That's quite significant. So in all this, Babajide, we expect that it's 88 days to that election. We are counting down. The clock is ticking. And INEC yesterday formally lifted the ban on political campaigns.
So you see, what really excites me is that the two major candidates know what the problems are. Because when you look at
the 60-page
the 63-page policy and plan, the 60-page plan of Atiku, is talking about national cohesion, security, job creation, talking about the need for us to unite as a people, the need to ensure that the economy gets going, foreign direct investment to come in and all that. So, and basically, Buhari was also talking about what he has done in the last 3 years, you know, and he says his plan is to deepen the achievements that had been recorded. And the achievements are along this same line. He wants to continue to improve the economy. He's talking about agriculture, job creation, you know, that we've created far more jobs in agriculture than at any time in our recent history, because government has encouraged even young people. You go to some states like Kebbi, you see young people actually getting involved in rice farming and all that. So it's a plus to his administration. And then it talks about infrastructure development that he intends to build on that. So Buhari is confident that he's done a lot, but what he wants Nigerians to know is that if they vote for him, he will continue to walk along that trajectory and continue to make Nigeria grow. In the area of infrastructure development, Atiku talks about his plan to get the private sector directly involved in funding projects. So Atiku, from his own body language, will really do a lot in the area of PPP, which is an area where I think that there's a lot of promise. We can't find enough money to fund our infrastructure deficit. We can't find enough money. We have to get the private sector involved more and more. There's just no way we can do it without getting them involved. But you and I know that in our country, we have issues with concession, issues with PPP. So we have to show people that as a country, we really honor our obligations. There's no reason for any investor to come here, maybe build an airport for you, and then suddenly you take the facility over forcefully from them, and then begin to make money from something that you did not build. So it sends the wrong signal to the international community. So it's a good thing, you know, reading these two presidential candidates shows that they both know what the problems are. Now, the challenge is how do they now translate knowledge of the problems to actual solving of the problem?
Sikian,
Yes.
The impression I got yesterday, immediately after I saw the president, unveiling his own plan yesterday, that's taking the next level 2019, and let's get Nigeria working. Clearly, it's like a two-horse race.
Yes, it is. For the first time, personally, I just feel that we have two candidates who have their work really cut out. They seem to have a good knowledge of what the problems are. They also, from what they've given us, they know the direction they want to go. Starting with Atiku, just as Jide rightly said, Atiku is more driven with the private sector, and more so, he wants to do more on the economy. And I am not surprised, because if you know what happened between 1999 and, is it now? Then 2003 or thereabouts, when he was the vice president, he was in charge of the economy, while Obasanjo was dealing with politics. And it will remember, most people would have forgotten that, it was Atiku that was also directly in charge of BPE.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Atiku that discovered Nasir El-Rufai. It was Atiku that discovered El-Rufai and brought him to head the BPE, which was then the driving force for all the economic privatization of so many of the parastatals then. Whether it worked or not, that is a different ballgame entirely, because we all remember what happened. Started with Nitel and the rest of Pentascope and the rest, a lot of controversies here and there, But he seems to know what he wants. Then for the president, the next level, that's a good one for me. That's a good catch. The first time, the first time was change, right? The APC came with the change mantra, and they believe that we've had a change. Now it is time to take it to the next level. And without much ado, with all due respect, the president in his first 3 terms has been able to perform creditably well in certain areas, especially in the area of security. For me, despite all the challenges we have with the herdsmen and the rest of them, we all knew pre-post 2015 what we were going through, especially in the Northeast. We knew what the problem Boko Haram was giving everybody, so many parts of the country, at least in that access we had. So now, my problem has not always been giving us wonderful presentation, manifesto, and the rest of them. And implementation has always been our problem. Implementation has always been our problem.
It's 88 days to that election, and I asked myself when I woke up this morning, where is this thought force that we felt that, look, that some Nigerians will be able to look beyond APC and PDP and will be able to make a kind of alternative choice. But the way it is now, 88 days to that election, I can't see.
Don't let us deceive ourselves. You've just said it earlier that it's a two-horse race. The reality on the ground is, you just mentioned some, do I call them participants or contestants?
Yes, we have
Omoyole
Sowore there.
Sowore, I think the bottom line is just that it's between Atiku and the president. There is no need to deceive ourselves. Nigeria is a very big country. And in a contest this very important, there is a limit to what we can see from the other contestants in terms of their capacity.
So you don't believe that there can be a miraculous turnaround in the next 3 months?
Are already attuned to the 2 major candidates, whether we like it or not. Well, people will come out. There will be protest votes, definitely. But it's between these 2 people. Now, the battle line is drawn. What I can just tell them is to make this a campaign of issues. It is clear. The choice of Nigerians is now clear. It's either you are taking Atiku or you are taking Buhari. You want to continue with Buhari, or you want to use the word change again, another change.
Another change.
But after all is said and done, what we should look forward to is the future of Nigeria. The president is telling us he wants to take us to the next level. Now let him show us how he's going to take us to this level. He has mentioned a lot of that in his position paper yesterday. Atiku too came up with a plan
let's
that
get Nigeria working.
Yeah, it took them a trip to Dubai to do. So, I mean, we should be able to see something of substance from such, the expenses and all those things, putting this together. But at the end of the day, the choice is clear. We have a president who believes he has done enough for Nigeria and he wants to continue. And we have a Trump-like figure, even Trump with another different temperament, coming up to say, it's the economy, my friend, and I'm here because I have the knowledge of the economy, I can move it better. Let there be a kind of firework of debates. Let us see them. Let them come out with issues. That's the bottom line.
Okay, Babajide, let's leave the fence now because we are not known to always hang on the fence on journalists hangout. Let's now go a kind of SWOT analysis on President Muhammadu Buhari in the last 3.5 years. And if you're asking for my votes, I went on the street of Lagos today and I did a kind of vox pop and it was like, man, some people are saying they're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, that why can't we have a change? But that change will not come in 88 days. So we know that we have this two. If you have to look at the programs, reading through the 63-page document of Atiku Abubakar is also profiling, a solution in the economy, like let's go and get money from Sokoto to fix our infrastructural deficit and everything. And I told myself that this government has already done that. And the last time I checked, we're in 22 trillion naira debts. But somebody is saying that it doesn't matter. So far, we're using that debt to fix the right thing. But at the same time, a lot of people will say that, look, when you want to look at through these two candidates, what are those things that the president has not done well in the last 3.5 years? That you feel Nigerians deserve better. Atiku mentioned unemployment in his policy document. And unemployment is like something that is like a national scourge in the country right now.
Yes, we moved from 11.7% youth unemployment to 11.75% youth unemployment. We moved to 30%. So
30%.
Yes. A lot of companies also closed down in the wake of the recession. And
2016.
Yes, a lot of manufacturing concerns closed down and they are not back. Companies are struggling. Businesses are struggling, no doubt about it. So, but the truth is, the growth of the economy can be really slow, especially in our kind of environment. We just have to be patient for the methods of the government to bear fruits. If anyone tells you that, look, within 5, 6 months, 7 months, the economy, you see a rebound and all that, the economy will begin to do very well, that person is lying. Because in any case, we are not, we are basically a consumer nation and we don't do much by way of production. We don't do much. So we have to begin to produce and not simply consume everything that comes from the West, and even from China now. We have to begin to produce. And when we produce, we have to begin to export. Until we get to that point, we will be struggling. And we won't be able to find the money to fix infrastructure. We will continue to take loans. People will tell you that our debt to GDP ratio is good enough. But at best, that is nonsense. Because when you look at the problem is revenue. Are we earning enough? So if you are not earning enough, even if your debt to GDP ratio is favorable, you are not Japan, for example, or America. You can, so those statistics can be used for us because we are simply not earning enough.
We're spending.
the economy has to be, we have to move quickly to diversify the economy. Over the years, we've not done much along that line. But you see the determination on the part of this administration to at least move towards
agriculture.
Yes, agriculture especially. I've seen months in which non-oil revenue, because it's not as if we have come up with so many new taxes, but the collection of revenue has been a lot better. With customs, for example, you see what the FRS is doing. So the collection of taxes is a lot better now. We are going after people who earn so much but are reluctant to pay taxes. So if we continue, we see some countries of the world that the bulk of what they spend on infrastructure and other things come from taxation. If you look at our big people are reluctant to pay taxes and they earn so much.
Not done enough.
So we are not done enough, but you can see that they have come up with a program designed to ensure that people pay taxes. And if you've been owing taxes for so long, government, if you are willing to change your bad ways, government will embrace you, but you still have to pay taxes. In other lands, not paying taxes is something for which you will be seriously punished. So these are some of the things that we need to do. We need to get along that line and do it, pursue it vigorously, and Nigeria will be great again.
Next level 2019, a lot of people will say Nigeria is known as the world poverty capital. That do you want to take us to the next level of poverty?
Exactly. Yeah, you took it off my mouth. That's what people have been saying. Apart from that, Jida has talked about economy, but let me talk about one or two. The problem, I mentioned security initially. Security has been one of the greatest challenge that we had with this administration. One of the reasons why most people voted for President Buhari was because he was a former general, and people believe that with that kind of background, when he comes in, a lot will be done in terms of security. Whatever we gain with the Boko Haram, this thing, we lost with the killing by herdsmen. Then we also look at, one thing going for them, which I've also done, in the area of infrastructure development. We'll give it to this administration.
I'm afraid we're short of time.
We'll give it to this administration. The way they have continued with the other projects that they've done very well in terms of infrastructure.
Let's get Nigeria working. Is Nigeria not working?
We move away from over-dependence on oil. One of our greatest buyers, the United States, is now, in the very short time, they will not be buying from us because they have enough to even take care of themselves.
Number one.
So the mono-economic approach to the future of Nigeria has to stop. We have to look at ways of diversifying beyond what we have now, because that will be the future of any development in Africa.
Thank you,
we have to also look at
we have to leave it there, Shola.
areas of infrastructure.
We have to leave it there, Shola. I'll tell you, days ahead, going to be, it's going to be very, very interesting, because I can tell you that days to the election, we are going to make our prediction with precision. Right now, it's too premature, it's too early. Whatever the campaign promises and everything, it will shape in what we have. Now, the gale of substitution of candidates' names has hit the Independent National Electoral Commission in the last-minute moves by the PDP bigwigs. In Ogun State, Buruji Kashamu, representing Ogun East Senatorial District, has replaced Adeleke Shitu as the PDP governorship candidate. Shitu was said to have voluntarily withdrawn from the race. The same scenario played out in Sokoto, where the electoral umpire has confirmed the nomination of Governor Aminu Tambuwal as the PDP candidate, governorship candidate. Tambuwal's name was substituted with that of Mana Dania, whose name had been submitted last week. On Journalist Hangout, we predicted as much. Let's watch.
Tambuwal will still be the candidate of the PDP. Everything that you see had been pre-planned. The list that INEC released was the list of those who took part in primaries. And INEC knows that parties are permitted by law to substitute candidates. So Manir Dania, that emerged as the candidate of the PDP in Sokoto, was Tambua's commissioner for
Local government.
Umaru Nkwabo, who is a politician and a contractor in Sokoto, one of the biggest and most powerful politicians in Sokoto, is today on the side of Tambua. And Umaru Nkwabo's godson is Manel Dania. They made sure in the course of the primaries, they made sure that nobody contested along with Manel Dania. That was to take care of any issue that could result. So it was a consensus arrangement because they knew that if Tambua lost in the
presidential primaries,
Manel would just be, his name would be removed, and then Tambua would slot in. Tambua, as a sitting governor, is an asset to any party because the resources are at the disposal of a sitting governor. So there's no way the PDP will see someone who is a sitting governor and would not want to cultivate that person. You saw what happened. If it didn't happen to Otom, despite all his problems in Benue, there's no way to happen to Tambua. Tambua's name will eventually end up on that list. I'm saying that with finality because I'm sure.
Let me quickly take this breather. When we come back, I'll take a reaction from our own. What do we call the man who saw tomorrow? What's his name? Nostradamus. Stay with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalistic Hangout, reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria, and we're looking at the politics in Sokoto State and Ogun State. First of all, let's go to Sokoto State. You said it, and we'll watch that clip. And from the dynamics now, I was afraid at the time Aminu Tambuwal actually contested for the presidential slots. To become the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, I thought he was going to lose out in his bid, entirely, that he didn't have a contingency plan for that governorship. And I was like, man, this person made a big mistake.
Don't forget that the PDP, by their own rules, if you are a governor, you come into the party, you become the leader of the party. And even APC has adopted that. Once you come into the party as a governor with all the resources and the structures at your disposal, you become the leader of the party. So with that at the back of their minds, and with the fact that he brought his own structures, he brought his own structures into the party, collapsed the structures into the structures of the party, he becomes a formidable opponent, whichever way we look at it.
Exactly.
One is not by any means saying, oh, he is going to win the election. I'll be able to predict that maybe a few weeks to the election. It's risky to predict now who will win. It's a little risky because certain things could happen in the course of that. And they will remember that, oh, he said it there 3 months ago and it didn't come to pass. You see? But he's strong, no doubt about it, in his own right as a sitting governor. So this is the thing. When these things happen, someone was telling me that, oh, some elements in the PDP, they want to punish him. That's why they put Manel Daniel. People assume that these things, when things happen now, they are not pre-planned. Politicians plan things. We have friends amongst them. I have friends across party lines. I try myself to be objective so that the other side too will see me as someone who is not an enemy. So that one can get information, you know what's going on. This is the thing. People think that these things just happen like that. No. In Nigerian politics, things don't just happen like that. Every move is planned.
Despite the fact that we thought Tambuwal was going to clinch the presidential ticket, but there was a plan B.
There was a last-minute move that ensured that the powers and the influence that the governor of Rivers State had before the election, despite I insisted they must bring this to Rivers, there was something that happened right there on the day of the primaries that completely took the wind out of his sail, and his candidate didn't win. So this is the thing, and Atiku succeeded. And Atiku is a formidable opponent.
CKN, Buruji Kashamu. Now, the senator representing Ogun East Senatorial District, he has spent almost 4 years in the Senate and everything. He has been very, very on the quiet side, but I got to know him because of his humanitarian gesture. I see his videos distributing things. What could have happened that, okay, we know that a lot of litigations that led to the recognition of his own faction. I thought that's enough victory for him. But why do you think Buruji Kashamu want to take the gamble of running for the governorship as the governorship candidate?
Well, every politician wants to go for the...
Which is background, so alleged controversial background.
You are the one looking at it from that point. A politician doesn't think the same way. A politician doesn't think like a journalist. They don't. They don't think... he used to say yes. Jide used to say it. Jide used to say yes several times. The way these people think is quite different from the way all of us think. Sincerely, I think in Ogun State, despite the problem AP is already having, I think the PDP to a large extent seems to have shot itself by the foot.
The same thing in Ondo State then is almost playing out.
What happened? I personally, just as you said, I think the crisis in Ogun PDP could have been properly managed. With victory given Buruji, I personally thought that he would have just quietly tried to go back to the Senate. That was been my belief. That was my permutation. But with the court verdict and him coming out now, and the funniest part of it is that he also retained the deputy governor candidate, our colleague, Dr. Ruben.
Dr. Ruben Abati.
Dr. Ruben Abati, as he said, yes, as his deputy to probably please the other faction. But as I said, it will be a very, very, very... But don't take it away from him. People have been saying, Buruji is one man that is deeply, 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 deeply rooted when it comes to pocket. He's another Atiku in disguise. Yes, in Ogun State.
Okay.
So don't rule him out.
Don't forget.
Don't rule him out.
He has dollars.
He has dollars.
Buruji Kashamu ran against Dakwa Abiodun for this senatorial district, Ogun East.
Yes.
And that's where I'm going, Ayo. This man seems to all of a sudden see an opportunity. Because he felt if I could do this to this man and he's back again, it's an opportunity.
It's my customer.
But also don't forget the undercurrent of a man who is always looking at his back. If you become a governor, what do you have? Immunity. So this man will pursue this opportunity because at least for the next 4 years, possibly 8 years, it will, all those problems about going to America or taking the next leg.
NDLA harassing.
So, I mean, that is just it. Politicians can be very curious, you know. You can, but that's his calculation.
They're very optimistic.
And
your last
that's the bottom line, please.
Buruji's gambit.
Honestly, some of what my colleagues have said, I actually had in mind. Buruji suddenly saw power placed in his hands. When the court ruled that his own faction
yes,
was the
at the
authentic
expense
faction,
of the
INEC
mainstream faction.
Yes, and because that judgment had not been vacated, the INEC
they have a deadline
had to
put
to take his own candidates. So now that INEC has taken his own candidate, he now felt, since everything now is in my control, why don't I make myself the governorship candidate? Who will arrest me if I do that? So he has now gone ahead. Okay, my enemies, I cannot reward them. Let me reward myself by becoming the governorship candidate of the party. And he has just put himself there. But he has an excellent deputy. When it comes to speaking, what
gift of the gab.
When we are talking about speaking English, the difference between Buruji and his deputy is like night and day. So I'm waiting because I don't, even in the Senate, you won't hear him talk.
No below.
But as a governorship candidate, because we are going to take debates to those states.
Yes.
As a governorship candidate, you must outline your agenda. And not that you will give us a prepared text, you must talk. So let us see what happens now. Maybe there will be a crash.
It will be very interesting.
Okay. Victory comes in different forms. For the All Progressive Congress, the victory is recorded in the National Assembly by-elections in 3 states. That's Kwara, Katsina, and Bauchi. A morale booster ahead of the 2019 elections battles. Reacting to the electoral triumph, Secretary to the government of the Federation, that's Boss Mustafa, said APC's victory in Ekiti, Irekpodun, Isin Okero, federal constituency, federal constituency of Kwara State is the sweetest so far. But the state chapter of the People's Democratic Party rejected the result, describing it as a daylight robbery. Gentlemen, let me.
Well, prior to that particular election, a lot of things played out. In fact, it goes so.
Some people will say it was federal government versus Saraki.
Exactly.
The Senate president.
Exactly. So the federal government needed to use, or the APC needed to use that election to test the waters, and there was so much at stake. There was so much at stake, both for the Senate president and his opponents and his former ally in the APC. You remember when they came to PDP, he went with some of his supporters, but some still remain. Some said they were not decamping, and they remained.
But the large chunk of the supporters went with sizable chunk.
Yes. But from that point, most of those that didn't defect with him were from this particular constituency. Okay. Yes, that is the issue. So, and Saraki has not been too, I wouldn't say, too popular in that area. So it was just a question of time for this to happen. And don't forget also, there was also, even a day, 24 hours before the election, there was this thing that was going on in social media, where money was ferried down to the place and the rest of that. It led the IG to come out with a statement to say that, no, the police, the helicopter that was seen there didn't go there to drop money. But at the end of it all, if you listen to what Alhaji Lai Mohammed said, he said the Berlin Wall, the Kwara Berlin Wall, has been growing down and has been demolished. But we cannot, APC for once, cannot continue start shouting hallelujah because this is not a test of what is going to happen in 2019. Yeah. Yes, I can tell you for sure that this is not going to be a wake-up call. It's just a wake-up call. But 2019, they might not find it as easy as they just think in Kwara State. Saraki is not one politician you think that you can just wave away anyhow. Saraki in Kwara learned a lot from his father, and he has added that to his own particular thing. And 2019 will tell.
Will I say this is like a temporary victory for our friend Alhaji Lai Mohammed? He's the leader of the
Party,
All Congress in Kwara State.
Yes,
and he's been battling them for many years.
Since 2003.
Yes.
Alhaji Lai Mohammed contested as the governor of Kwara State in 2003.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, this is a morale booster for Alhaji Lai Mohammed and others. And for many people whose goal is to kick Saraki out of politics in Kwara. The family has dominated politics in Kwara for so many years, since the 60s, since the mid-60s. And for many Kwarans, it's about time that a new generation of leaders, sprung up. So this is a good one for them. The 2 candidates came out of Umuano, because Umuano is the major town in that area, in the Bomino area in Kwara. Umuano is... That's
where Bishop Oyedepo is from.
Yes, is like the main urban center in that area and constantly growing. So the 2 candidates wanted to leverage on the population of Umuano, so they presented candidates from that town. But at the end of the day, it's the APC that won. Clearly, if you look, it's Offa that had always opposed the pro-Saraki tendencies. But the danger for Saraki now is that by the time the Bomino and the Ekiti people of Kwara begin to vote along the same line as the Oyon, that is the Ofa people, then he's in trouble.
They'll no longer be minorities.
It portends danger for him. They still will remain minorities because the bigger chunk of the vote, or the biggest chunk of the vote,
from the Kwara Central.
Is in Central. That is Ilorin, the urban center. Okay. But if he does not get support from that area, of course, Kwara North had been complaining that they've been marginalized for years. That is talking about all those places where they don't really speak Yoruba, some of those places, including the Baruba-speaking area, the Lafiajis, all of those areas. If they vote against, because they were not happy that the candidate didn't come from their area, if they vote against Saraki's candidate, then it will be difficult for the PDP to retain Kwara. But just as he said,
I agree.
You don't overjubilate because of a
federal constituency.
Yes, because people can argue that, yes, after all, APC lost the senatorial by-election in Osun, but they went ahead and won the governorship. I've also heard people say, oh, Saraki does not win if he does not have federal might. Those people conveniently forget what happened in 2015. He had left the ruling party. But he still won in Kwara. He still won in Kwara.
Whether we like it or not, Bukola Saraki is still a force. And anybody who thinks by just what happened during this last election is going to sleep, then they may be having the surprise of their lives when the real thing comes. Yeah, it was a battle of egos too, to demystify this man, to crush, what seemed invincible. And it's left for Saraki
when they couldn't impeach him, and he was gloating.
Yes. But it too should not lie low, thinking that, what happened in Ofa, whatever, or whatever. So Kwara is interesting as far as I'm concerned, because we look forward to a very, very, very interesting battle.
From what happened on Saturday, it shows that Kwara State will be a battleground state.
Saraki will go all out now to want to reassert himself. It's a setback, whether he likes it or not. But like we said, we see what happens when it comes to the real battle.
All right, reaching home stretch now. It has been argued many times over that Nigerian politicians are bad losers. They oftentimes lack the spirit of sportsmanship and always want to win at all costs. Imo State Governor Owele Anayo Rochas Okorocha has been manifesting this tendency since losing his bid to get the APC's governorship ticket for his son-in-law, Uche Uwosun. Apparently still bitter about the issue. Governor Okorocha has alleged that the court order which INEC relied on to recognize Senator Hope Uzodinma as APC governorship candidate could have been fought. As troubling as this allegation appears to be, what is more worrisome is the deafening silence of the APC over the issue. Let's listen to Governor Rochas Okorocha.
As at that day in the morning, from morning till about 4 o'clock, the name of Uche Uwosun was still there to be published, in line with the 2 court orders supporting his candidature and warning INEC and APC from removing his name. But around 7 o'clock, news started filtering in that his name has been changed and the name of the other candidate has been published. And when we were inquired to know, we were told there was a court order, and digging deep, we found out that that court order does not exist anywhere in any court of competent jurisdiction. So this is a test of integrity on INEC to really tell the world what was the reason behind disregarding the court order and publishing the name of a candidate who did not win the primaries.
I think this is simple enough, gentlemen, because the court is in Nigeria. The court is a court sitting in Nigeria, and this should be a very, very... But, Jide, I get scared when I hear things like this, because there will be a court order in Lagos and another court order in Abuja on the same case, and you discover that in the court system. We don't
Yeah,
have
and the
a
courts have concurrent powers.
They have concurrent powers that somebody can get something in Lagos and another person gets the same reprieve in Abuja, and we are still here talking about what we have now. Rochas is testing the integrity of the court order that Senator Hope Uzodinma actually got to stop the candidacy of Uche Nwosu.
Yeah, people may say, oh, Rochas is a bad loser. Why has he refused to back down since all these days? But politics is an interest-driven game. It is also about projecting your own interests first before the interest of the collective. There's no way you will not like yourself more
Protect your
before you now try to protect the interests of other people. So his own interest is to put his boy there. That's his interest. After that comes the party. That's the way he's saying things. And if his in-law is going to be kicked out of the race, then it has to be done in a transparent manner. We've had too much back and forth over this thing. The party initially said, oh, we are disbanding the Gulag committee. And they set up another committee from Abuja. And that's yes, and Uche Nwosu won the election conducted by the committee that replaced the Gulag committee. Only for us to go back now to the verdict of the Gulag committee that the party has said, no, we are done with. So that's the dilemma. And then, of course, since he made this allegation, I've not had any concrete denial from any quarter. So, in my view, the CJN has to investigate whether this judgment is fake or not. The NJC. We need a press statement. We need a definitive statement.
The validity or otherwise.
Yes. If Okorocha lied to his countrymen and women by saying this thing is fake, someone has to come out and tell us in plain language that, oh, the other day Okorocha lied and these are the documents. Let us see. The judge who signed the judgment. So it is only at that point that we can begin to blame him that, oh, you see, he's not the only one who feels aggrieved. Amosun too has been trashing around since this thing happened. And there's no way, if you do it to the governor of Kaduna State, his own reaction will probably even be the worst, or the worst. So Zamfara man too has been complaining that some people came together in Abuja and decided, oh, it had to be Dauda Lawal or nobody, and then contrived to ensure that the primaries was not supervised. Because of crisis in just 4 wards or 6 wards, today, APC risk not even fielding candidates in Zamfara State
Well,
that's your home state too.
Now I want to talk now.
Interested party.
Now, I'm an interested party in this because this is my state. Sincerely, I tend to disagree with Jide on some of the points.
It was allowed.
Yes. The party, the courts, and the rest don't need to be reacting to every statement made by Rochas or anybody. If Rochas is aggrieved, he knows what to do. He should go to court. That's a fact. This is politics. We have been saying it here.
You don't get it.
No.
He said that judgment did not exist.
No, that is what I'm saying.
Is there not a chief judge in the state?
Yes, let me
Shouldn't
tell you.
someone validate that?
No, yes.
That's the point that we are making.
Let me finish. Let me tell you. I'm sorry. Here we say, he says, Hope Uzodinma as APC gubernatorial candidate could have been forged. That is that's our statement. That is what I'm saying.
This is not. Listen now. Listen. We played it. You had it from him.
I'm saying this. I am saying this. But let us even leave whatever.
Forget what was written here.
Let me tell you the problem here. It is not about APC. It's not about Hope Uzodinma. It's not about. The problem we are having in Imo State is Rochas versus the people of Imo State. I don't belong to PDP. I'm not a member of APC. I'm not a member of any political party.
That's
The
a
problem-
different matter.
No,
We
no,
say
let
that's
me-
a different matter. But
Yes.
the court matter. Someone says that the court that there is
Jide.
a fake judgment.
Jide.
Let us address that.
Jide.
Don't get into whether people like him or not.
Wait, Jide, listen.
Abi?
So the
Just as
people
I said,
I know what you're saying.
Yes.
The people of Imo
We can
State,
debate that
we
whether
now
it's-
we now decide.
That's what
Do you
I'm
understand? No, what I'm saying.
Should I come in as the ombudsman?
No,
I
no,
think
I
you said
don't.
it earlier.
Lisa, it shouldn't be.
You said it
shouldn't be.
earlier. You know, it's clear. Somebody has made an allegation that
Yes.
nothing
He's going to prove
exists. Let him come
going to
out.
come out to
You know,
prove it.
He who
He should
comes
prove
to
it.
equity
Must well come with clean hands.
Oh,
Let
you
him
alleges.
show.
Yes.
Let him prove.
He's the one to
But
prove.
also-
How
not
does
for
he
the court.
prove?
You
No,
let
I
him-
need to ask you how he
Yeah.
proves.
You should
When
bring. You should
he-
He
bring.
proves something that
when
is.
you allege-
He said that there was no judgment.
When you-
Tell me
I
how
think-
he should prove.
I think what-
Is there any
I think what
document that he
Jide
can
is saying
present?
He should
Shala-
back-
No, you don't
Jide
get
is
it.
saying
What is
that
the logic?
You should petition the
CJN.
Chief Justice of
You
Nigeria.
know what?
You should petition the
No,
Chief
we
Justice
are.
of Nigeria.
He doesn't. We are even saying.
Yes, you should.
Wait now, we are journalists.
Yes.
When politicians disagree, we stay. We are the arbiter.
Yes.
They disagree. They exchange blows. We are the ones who bring them together
Yes.
and still resolve things. And we are saying, okay, if this man says there was no judgment,
He's a governor.
we have to be able to get someone to prove that indeed there was judgment and this is it.
Mere verbal.
The party. You
Mere
know, like you
verbal
said,
allegation
Are you
cannot
from
be
your
taken.
intro,
No.
Mere
there has
verbal
been a kind of
allegation
deafening
cannot be
silence.
used.
No,
from the
no.
party.
It
I think
should
they
be-
have to come clean now. We need to get to the root of this.
The party,
the court itself,
INEC, and
That is
even
it.
to the level of
Has
the
it?
judiciary. Yeah, I agree.
Do you know that this sort of thing had happened before? Are you saying that you don't know that there are people have procured fake judgments in the past in our
I'm not saying that
country?
it's not possible.
But let us
What
see
was let
everything
him bring
on
the
the table.
evidence? Let him bring
No,
the
the
evidence.
thing is, you
right.
don't. When you say
We
bring
should-
evidence
Yes.
of something that was not there,
Yeah.
which evidence will you bring?
Then
If
let
I
it
tell you
prove
that
it.
something is fake, see, when the governor was not able to, vote the other day,
Yes.
and they took the thing to the outskirts of Owerri,
Yes.
when he made that allegation, many of us felt it was strange that a
the
governor
governor
would
will
not,
not know.
even know where they are doing Congress. But at the end of the day, the courts agreed with him and ordered a fresh Congress.
Okay.
And those Congresses, when they ordered the fresh Congress, his candidates now won. Because you can't say that every allegation that he makes will be dismissed. No, that's not the thing.
You never say
No, you can't say, because this is an allegation.
No, we didn't
there
say
are
it should be
people,
dismissed.
he is not the one to show, it is the judiciary that is on trial now. The judiciary has to show us that indeed, justice so of court
Actually
actually
validated.
once they do that, the shame comes back to him.
You mean,
and then it's finished.
Are you
The
not saying
false
that-
alarm.
Jide, are you not saying that because the governor made a statement on television or whatever, the chief judge of the federation could just, there are processes. There are processes that he goes through. More so now that I am, there are processes.
Graduate first.
There are certain, I am not a 211 years, but there are certain things. But there are processes. There are things I never knew. Sincerely, there are things I never knew.
NJC should be able to resolve this.
That is what I'm saying. Let him make a petition to NJC.
Look,
That's
if
what
you
I'm
like,
saying.
let me tell you truth. As a philosopher said, truth is a gentleman.
Yes.
If the man, if he made this allegation and just deceived his countrymen, in the fullness of time, everyone will know. He's the one who will be ashamed at the end of the day.
But you know what?
You know, and we will come
Okorocha-
here. We'll come here and talk about how he tried to mislead us. So that is the
Okorocha is
thing.
going to fight the battle until he has exhausted all
Everything.
All
Yeah.
avenues.
The issue of dollars.
It's
the issue of
within
dollars-
his
the issue of
powers.
dollars, the issue of-
It's within his right to
It
do that.
is, it
Look,
is.
because
It's
at the end of the
politics.
day,
It's politics.
at the end of the
It is
day,
his right. It is his right.
Amosun too is fighting. He says it's Akinlade or not. Abi?
Has he been making this kind of
No.
allegations? Is the
What
man
are you
has he
saying?
been making this
Have you
kind of
been listening?
allegations?
What is wrong in this?
About court and just.
He has said worse things about even his party, that the APC, that there was no
I'm
election.
talking of him dragging the court into the matter.
Forget
is a
your
different-
differences, forget how you feel about it.
No, I'm talking as a baby lawyer. now. I'm agreed that my own constituency is being dragged into the system.
Then we'll be in trouble with that. You never graduate as
Make
a
sure
lawyer.
you don't have a carry over.
I don't know.
And you never graduate.
And Baba
That guy
Jide,
need to make it.
it's so nice to be back with you.
Good to to be here. It's good to be here.
And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platform showing on the screen and on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.